This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hello everybody and welcome to show 147. We're nearly there, nearly 150, mate. I'm lucky enough to have Garth here with me, sitting right beside me here on our third screen now. So, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Michael. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Screens galore there.
Yes. I'm learning slowly. So,
have you heard the news that they're cutting out one of them and cutting out the old Thunderbolt and just sort of on screen crazy?
Yeah, well, I've actually got one of those Thunderbolt displays. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, it's like a beauty.
Excellent.
So, just a reminder that we are brought together by ATH Web Hosting. We've got Australian servers, affordable and competitive plans, 99.5% uptime, domain registration, free setup. So yeah, just have a look at it, athwebhosting.com.au to have a look and give it a go.
Absolutely.
So, my friend, it's been a bit short on news stories this week. So,
I know there seems to be lots of rumours. We're all talking about the headphone jack again, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah, it's blowing up again.
The
yes,
one I should say.
Yeah. So, I just thought we'd start with the iPhone 7 rumours and our thoughts. So, no 3.5mm headphone jack. What do you reckon?
In two minds on that one. I really am. For me personally, I use the hell out of that thing. So I don't care if it's not the 3.5mm jack, as long as there's some easy way of hooking up audio. I use the earpods that come with the phone, so if they supply something that works just as well, I really don't care if it's plugged in via a 3.5mm jack or some other way, as long as I can reliably get audio out of my phone.
But what about those times that you need to charge it and listen at the same time?
This is what I mean. As long as there's an easy way to do that, that is the key. So, are we going to enter the old the dongle world that we have to have entered with the new MacBook? That could be the way of it.
Could that be the way? I don't know. But what about?
I really don't see there's a rumor about how they're going to put the normal earpods in, but they're going to put a lightning to 3.5 jack dongle type thing in there as well.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the solution. I don't expect that to be the solution. I would more guess that we're going to get a set of earpods in there that have a 9-pin lightning connector on them.
And what about the lightning connector not being... Because it doesn't have that gripper that 3.5 sockets have, you get a little bit of dirt in the bottom of that lightning connector socket and it won't stay connected till you actually get it blown out or taken out. So
at the moment, is that not a problem for people already?
The lightning connector?
Yeah.
Where it's not... Yeah. Yeah, it is a challenge for a few people where they think, it's not charging properly, or you just touch it a little bit and it stops charging because it gets a bit of muck in the bottom of the lightning socket.
Devices, people.
But yeah, it doesn't have the 3.5 socket's got that gripper on it to stop it coming out easily, whereas the lightning doesn't. So,
yeah.
The other challenge also is
3.5mm jack. You've got about 2 square inches of bloody connector to power a 1 point little thing, So you've got a lot of you've got a lot of redundancy built in there just from the size of the thing, I suppose. Not just sort of the gripper.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what about wireless headphones? It's another thing that you've got to charge so you can listen.
Wireless headphones are not the solution. They are a solution that a lot of people like and use, and that's fine. Keep on using them. But they're not the solution to being able to plug into your phone with a set of headphones.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, the real issue is every time I've used Bluetooth headphones, the lag. Now, if you're just listening to music or whatever, that's not an issue. But for me, using VoiceOver on there, I flick on the screen and I wait for that lag to hear what happened.
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like you've got I might as well be using an iPhone 4S because of the lag that you get through Bluetooth compared to a direct connection. So personally, that's the main issue.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people don't even use their earpods, They never like my wife would never plug a set of headphones into a phone. It's just not how she uses her phone.
Yeah.
And many people are in that same situation. But for those who do use a set of headphones, as long as the solution comes with that, be it a $29 dongle that you can buy for your high-end headphones, and as long as the basic headphones that come supplied with the phone still exist and still work without an issue, then I'm happy. I don't care.
Okay. And one last thing is, what about a Pro model? Do you think there'll be a Pro model which will give you something? I don't know what it's going to give us, but...
Pro model of the phone, yeah, I don't know. 3 variants? I don't really think so. Like 3... So what we're talking about here is an iPhone 6, let's say 7,
Yeah.
The smaller version of the new form factor. The larger version of the new form factor, and another larger version of the new form factor that has what, better camera? Who knows what? No,
Don't know.
I don't buy it. Don't think so.
Don't know myself.
Michael, what about you? That's all my opinion about that.
Yeah, well,
what do you reckon?
I don't think there'll be a Pro model. Not yet, anyway. I can't see. The iPad Pro is too new for it to have a detractor, I think. That's just my thought at the moment.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you, but I don't agree for the same reason. There's no cost in using that Pro name again on an iPhone. You're not going to cannibalize or take away from the iPad Pro by having an iPhone Pro. There's no problem with that for me.
So you can draw on it with what makes it a Pro? Just drawing on it with a pencil?
Who knows? Some of the initial rumors were that the Pro version of the iPhone was the only one that's going to have the dual camera. It was more about that than the pencil.
Yeah.
I even pencil support, if that is coming to the iPhones, whether it only be on the larger screen, I can imagine them doing that. They're going, you know what? We're only going to give the pencil support to the S variant. Sorry, the Plus variant.
Yeah.
We're not going to give that to the the standard sized one. And the rationale being, it's more like a notepad size. You can draw on it a bit more, So I don't know. But what I'm saying, they're not going to have a Pro version being a third variant of the phone. All I'm saying is there's only going to be 2 variants of it, not the third one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
How about the headphone jack? What do you feel about them? If they do, well, it seems very likely that we're going to lose that headphone jack.
Yeah, well, as long as it's whatever they replace it with, it's convenient and works, and that the adapter's there straight away, not in 6 months' time, for example. Or because a lot of people are going to be cranky that they've just bought their $200 or $300 Beats headphones from the Apple Store and then can't use them.
Yeah. So once again, there's no. I've got no connection to that jack.
Yeah.
As long as the solution that's provided is, like you said, convenient and works well, and that's the main thing. A lot of the reports, a lot of the rumors and a lot of the opinion pieces I've seen about this whole thing is, okay, we take away that. What does that mean? We can't plug our headphones in. We can't do this. We can't do that. We can't do whatever it is. Well, we're assuming that the Apple are not going to provide a solution. So, which I think is a flawed assumption. Let's see what the solution supplied with it is before I make a judgment. Yeah.
Well, that 30 pin to Lightning connector that works well, as long as you've got the right equipment to go with it. So
Yeah, well, there's a prime example. The hoo-ha that we had about the 30-pin going away.
yeah.
Who really gives a flying pair
Oh,
of fetid
well,
dingo's kidneys?
there is a lot of like external speakers and things that lose the support when you're running the adapter, so
Yes.
that it just puts a lot more pressure on the 30-pin connector that's on the speakers or onto that little lightning adapter. So yeah, but time will tell.
Like the 30-pin had a lot of analog connections. That's why it had 30 pins. It had so many different
Yeah,
control,
yeah.
different way. Yeah, but I just not there in the lightning.
But that was like a whole. There's not many lightning only external speakers anymore compared to how many 30-pin ones there were. You know what I mean?
No, there's probably not, and that's because it's more gone to Bluetooth, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
People have gone, we're not really in that era where we dock our phone or we dock our. There's no who buys an iPod Touch. Those speakers came for iPods as much as they came for phones.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've moved on from that era, so it's not so much that,
Yeah, it's just old buggers like me. Still do it. But I do it with a Bluetooth adapter anyway now. So
typical music has changed, is what I'm guessing. You know what I'm saying. And the prevalence of that type of speaker reflects the fact that we have changed how we use that type of speaker more than the 30-pin. The 9-pin is not as good a solution as the 30-pin was. It's just that the way people have used that, we don't have, like I said, we don't have iPod touches. They're not as prevalent as they were.
yeah, and the convenience of just being able to put it in that way or that way.
Yes,
is another big one too. You don't have to think about it. One less thing to think about these days.
I know, we all need that.
So we've had some more information come out after WWDC about differential privacy. So iOS 10's differential privacy, to start with, the new feature will be opt-in, so you've got to go in and agree to use it. The first two parts have to do with Apple's new messaging app, which is significantly more predictive than previous versions. The new emoji replacement feature will be driven in part by aggregated data from iPhones around the world. If lots of people start replacing the word "but" with the peach emoji, you'll begin to see that recommendation pop up in your messages. The same thing is true with the new version of predictive text. Apple has traditionally drawn from local messaging data, looking only at the text you write and the words you choose. But the new improved predictive text will make smarter predictions based on more context and draw on lots of aggregated data to do it. The other two uses have to do with search. One is built into Notes called Lookup Hints, but Spotlight's search feature is the most important of the two. Since iOS 9, Spotlight has been able to return search suggestions from activities performed within apps. So if you're constantly playing Life of Pablo in Spotify, the iOS 9 version of the system might drop a link to the album's Spotify page. And when you search Pablo in Spotlight, based on data shared by the developers of the app, and crucially, iOS 9 keeps all that data stored locally so that NSA can't snoop on the system to find it. Developers choose what data to share in the coding of each app, but they have a strong incentive to share more and have their programs featured more often in Spotlight. iOS 10 makes the system global, but uses differential privacy to keep similar privacy protections in place. And Apple also are not scanning your photo to recognise mountains, attractions, etc. They are scanning other sources, whatever that means. So that's the differential privacy, and also the working out, that's Mavericks or whatever on that photo you just took.
Yeah. Look, to me, the key point from that whole, from that story is the fact that they're making it opt-in.
Yep.
Rather than opt-out, which I think a lot of companies would have made that opt-out. Yeah, you can do this. Do it.
Yeah, but we are pretty big on security at Apple, aren't we?
Yeah, so opt-in is perfect.
Yep.
And they're really only introducing it in a very controlled and small way, really. We're not getting the traffic data. We're not getting many things that you might expect that you would get with that sort of feature. They're not.
Yeah.
So controlled and steady, like much that Apple does, I guess.
So there's a bit more information about what's coming up and what to look forward to and how it works.
Absolutely.
So
Needs digging into, I'm sure.
yeah. So this is a story from yesterday. Today in Apple history, the end of Apple's worst ever financial quarter. Cult of Mac reports the 27th of June 1997 marked the last day in the worst financial quarter in Apple history, in which Apple lost $56 million, effectively bringing an end to the then CEO Gil Amelio's 500 days running the company. The $56 million loss contributed to an overall Apple loss of $1.6 billion during Amelio's reign, effectively wiping out every cent of profit Cupertino had earned since 1991.
Wow.
So, and we've got Apple's next profit report for what is now the 1, 2, or 3 biggest company in the world, coming out next week on the I can't remember what date it is now, but yeah, they're just about to release their next quarterly profit, and it will be available to listen to.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, well. And
So
what to say about that one?
they've come a long way in 19 years, haven't they?
1997.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. 56 million one quarter. And what did you say? 1.6 billion.
Yeah.
It's what? 3 days earnings now? Or so? But still, that's a lot of money.
But that's it. 1.6 was everything they'd earned in the previous 6 years.
6 years or something.
Yeah.
And what was the last quarter? 60 billion? Something like that. So in 90 days, 60 billion. So, 2 days earnings.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it, the difference?
It's kind of staggering, isn't it, really?
And you think they were making more money.
Not 60 billion then as well. We're not even accounting for inflation there.
And they were making more money per computer back in those days.
A higher margin.
Well, the computers were $6,000 and they were making...
Oh, yes. That's why there weren't many sold, I guess.
And you get the same computer now for... a far superior machine now. I just think you're top of the line, you're probably looking at maybe $6,000 computer still for an absolutely top of the line.
You could spend that much easily.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've got another interesting story.
I wonder how the processing power of $6,000 then compares to what's on our wrist.
Yeah. Just I'd hate to think.
Yeah.
Because I think what was the 128K Mac when I first bought it? I got the education price and it was $3,500, but it came with an image writer printer. So
Crazy.
Yeah. So an interesting story here is that an iPhone or iPhones keep TalkShow alive during power outage. So Apple has always been proud of its iPhone cameras, hence its marketing campaigns like Shot on iPhone, which showcase their ability to take great photos and videos. But stories like this one prove they really do live up to the hype. After all of France 2's equipment shut off during taping of On Ne Pas Couche,
you're a braver man than me.
And according to Google, that transfer, we is not Leia. Anyway, the crew waited 3 hours for the power to be restored, according to iPhone.fr. They then gave up and shot the rest of the show on Plus model iPhones. and despite limited lighting, the footage was edited and used in the final broadcast, which can be seen on YouTube. And thanks to optical image stabilization in Apple's larger phones, there are times when you can't even tell a smartphone is being used. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. I need to check that out. But yeah, the key thing there is the limited lighting, because that's the real killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're used to the studio lighting.
Huge difference.
Massive difference, yeah.
Also, I've noticed 2 stores now in Australia, our Apple stores in Australia, showing an environmental window where it's got, this store runs on 100% renewable energy, and it's got a little Apple logo with the green leaf. So both Bondi and Castle Hill are 2 that I can verify. I haven't actually checked my Penrith store. But remembering renewable energy means that they can tick that box on their bill that says, I want all my power from a renewable energy source. And you just sort of pay, even though I'm actually getting it from a coal mine, I'm still subsidising the next lot of renewable energy. Yeah.
Well, you know, that you can't say, okay, I want only the electrons that come from. That's not how the power grid works. So.
Why the hell not?
You electrons just go off to the side and go down that way, while I go this way.
So that was interesting. That more stores. I'll have to keep looking.
I don't know about my own local one either.
No, you'll just have to go and check up for me.
I have to ask them.
Just an excuse to go down there for you, Garth. I look after you like that, mate.
No, I can't need another one. I'll just say, oh, yep, get out that watch, pay for something, please. What do you want today?
So further to my iCloud Drive full issues, Apple acknowledged this week I'm not the only person experiencing this issue, and asked for permission to have unrestricted access to my iCloud Drive. They asked for permission by the support person reading out a page of text specifying it doesn't include my pictures and my mail. You then go in and create a PIN number that Apple quote back to you, so you know it's Apple talking, Apple asking you any questions, because they've got to quote this PIN number in the first place. Okay. And also, the other thing is you've got to go in and create a new password that they give you.
Yes.
Which is the only annoying part about it, is because everything keeps asking me for my password at the moment.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah. So and also an aside is that my iPhone iCloud Drive app said I had minus 20.6 gig available, when all my iCloud settings, like on the phone and on my computer, showed I'd used 2 gig. So we're still very baffled about what's going on. But Apple, they've been really good. They've been ringing me back, and they've got the engineering team on it at the moment.
That's a shame that it's had to go to that, but at least they're really going to all efforts to try and resolve it.
Yep.
And it is a situation. I still can't help thinking that this has got to be to do with the collection of services they use to power iCloud. You know?
Yeah.
Bit of Amazon, a bit of Google, a bit of Azure. You would think that having all those different services, you know, being used in the back end of iCloud, along with their own services, has got to be causing something.
Well, if one part of my information, my data was at Google and one part was at Amazon, and something happened during that stage where it said, "Oh, it's deleting some files," that's why one part thinks I've got one amount of data and one's got another.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if it's got anything to do with that? But you can't help but think it's got to be.
Yeah, something like that.
You know,
yeah.
It sounds like it, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah.
Keeping the appropriate state across all those different places consistent would be a nightmare, you would think.
Listen, it's only a little bit of my headache, and it's a lot of theirs. So, so don't forget, we've got Aussie Tech Radio at aussietechradio.com. You've got our Aussie Tech Security podcast, our Aussie Tech Heads podcast. These are all sister podcasts and shows associated with our great Aussie Mac Zone. So have a look at those if you get a chance. So I've got one here. Toddler proofing your iPhone. There is a way to put your Apple device on lockdown while still letting an open app operate as usual. So this is for if you're letting your little kids say watch YouTube, and then they'll just start pushing buttons and things, and it'll go off that, and then they get annoyed, and you've got to come back and help them again. And so a setting called guided access keeps an iPhone or iPad locked in an app, even if someone hits the home button. To turn on the feature, tap on Settings, General, Accessibility, Guided Access, and slide the switch so it turns to green. Don't worry, your iPhone won't function any differently unless prompted. Your next is you set a passcode, not the same as your regular iPhone codes. You can, but this is important because if your future honour roll student already knows your device's passcode, they still won't be able to get out of guided access mode. Whereas if they know your real one, they can get out of guided access and do whatever they like. So that trick's thanks to Time Magazine. Where that's also used, for example, is there are some places where you use iPads to sign in and out of companies or premises, and they use that as well so that people can't turn it on or off or accidentally touch things that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Guided access has been in there since I think iOS 6 or 7 maybe.
Yeah.
Very useful little feature in the right situation.
Good. So we've also our number 2 how-to this week is so my wife and I gave blood on the weekend, and while being interviewed, I explained about your medical ID access from the lock screen of the iPhone. So as a reminder, when you are at the lock screen of an iPhone, you can see emergency down at the bottom. Tap emergency and then tap medical ID. You can now see important medical and contact information for that person. If someone's having a seizure, that it's just important information that first responders will be looking for, or while you're talking on the phone to the ambulance, same thing. And just as a reminder, also please... Oh, sorry, I interrupted, mate. Oh,
sorry, it was the same thing you were saying. Just a reminder to actually populate it.
Yes.
That situation, if you're in that situation.
Yeah, so just go into the Health app on the phone using the Medical ID tab at the bottom of the app screen and actually put your information in. It means nothing now. It's just that if something goes wrong, that's when it means something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything you want to add? We've still got one more to go, but anything you got?
No, go for it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
That last one.
Yeah. So we've got Microsoft SharePoint for iOS is here. So Microsoft announced earlier this year that its popular SharePoint collaboration software was getting a full-featured mobile app, and it's available now. The SharePoint for iOS mobile app brings the key features from the popular enterprise collaboration software to users' smartphones, so that they have an easier time of accessing things like company bulletins, SharePoint applications, and shared workspaces while on the go. So it talks about enterprises, but I've got a small blind manufacturer, and they use SharePoint so that their salespeople can have up-to-date quotes, and while they're out talking to a customer, or if they've gone back to the customer, they can show the person the quote on the iPad, get them to sign the iPad, and then the whole deal starts.
Yes. Yeah. Now, do you need to be running what? What do you need to be running, I wonder?
Office 365.
365. You can't do it with 2030 even. 2030 even. 13 even. Because we use SharePoint extensively at work as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I'll get access to it. I think we might be running SharePoint 2010 even.
So yeah, that's that's about it for me this week. I haven't got anything else. It's been very, very quiet this week.
It has. It has. I think I was looking through some news in a store, and let me start that sentence again. I was looking through some.
Have another drink.
Yeah, that would probably fix it. I was looking through some news, and I saw story after story about the headphone jack rumors.
Yeah.
It is it's something that's got people talking, but yeah, there's really not a lot happening. We're in the sort of post WWDC, and waiting. In my case, awaiting some public betas to start trying.
Yeah, it won't be long.
No, that's right now.
There's lots of stories about how to use the latest Apple TV and how to use the latest iPads, the software on your iPad or on your phone or on the Mac. But yeah, until it actually gets a bit better released, like there's even a problem with the Music app, for example, but it is a pre-release one, isn't it?
Yes, we haven't even got to the public beta, let alone the actual release. So let's not be too worried about problems at this stage.
Yeah, I got nothing. So
Very good, Michael.
thanks for helping me out again tonight, my friend.
Oh, I sat back and did very little at all. So thank you very much.
So everybody, thanks for joining us for show 147, and we'll have it all popping up again next week. Thank you.